gun, the throwing knives, and this hunting knife.
Alan Ercolini didn't order the box of weapons that arrived at his Sacramento home. His 14-year-old son did. Ercolini came home from lunch one day and was alarmed to find the package waiting there.
What surprised me the most was that he was able to order this. So it didn't surprise me that he wanted something like this, but the fact that he was able to order it and it was able to come to our home without us knowing.
Ercolini says his son enjoys hunting and the outdoors. He's not opposed to BB guns or real guns, but didn't want them at his home and didn't want his son to have them without his say. And that's not all.
Could you imagine if you were to see anybody walking down Broadway with this, would you think it was fake? Would you just say, oh, keep going, it's a fake gun? Probably not. So it concerns me the most if, let's say, law enforcement were called, they wouldn't know that this was fake because there isn't an orange tip on here. There's nothing that were to tell me this is fake.
It's a concern echoed by Sacramento police.
It's very important, especially kids having weapons out in public. Parents should know what they have, whether it be a real gun or a fake gun. And when they're out in public, even if they have a fake gun, the public could view them as having a real gun.
Ercolini called Amazon to figure out how his son got the gun and knives. But he says the Amazon operator wanted to talk to his 14-year-old son first.
They asked if he was present so they could speak to him. And I said no. And they said, well, we need his permission. And I said that was insane because I'm his parent and I'm authorizing that permission.
We looked into this, and on Amazon's website, their policy reads, if you are under 18, you may use the Amazon services only with the involvement of a parent or guardian. Most accounts are set up with credit cards, but teenagers can get around that using gift cards. And those gift cards can be bought anywhere.
Thankfully my son doesn't have the mental issues that a lot of these people have that are doing these things. But how does Amazon know that he doesn't?
But it doesn't end there. It's illegal to sell a BB gun to a child in California. Ercolini wrote to Amazon's CEO, Jeff Bezos, citing that California law. A customer service rep wrote back, quote, we have looked into your concern about the BB guns being for sale to customers located in California and confirmed that the Daisy Powerline Model 340 BB Spring air pistol is permissible for sale into California. True, but again, not to a child, not to any child, by anyone.
So when I shared with them the penal code states that a minor cannot order this type of stuff, they didn't respond to that. They said their policy states that a minor can shop on their site, but they need an adult to make the purchase, which I think is comical because I wasn't present, so my son did shopping and purchasing, and Amazon didn't step in to stop that.
We reached out to Amazon repeatedly to get their side of the story, but never got any response. Amazon does flag products that can't be sold in certain states, like weapons, medications, and even some household items. But we couldn't find any request for an age, not even an additional step asking to verify your age to make the purchase on Amazon's website. Even the BB gun's packaging has a warning, not a toy, should be used with adult supervision. Ercolini says steps by Amazon or the state to enforce the law could prevent a tragedy.
It's like, so we wait for somebody to be injured or to make it change the policy or to take action.
And for now, the BB gun and knives bought from Amazon are staying locked up until Ercolini figures out what to do with them.